25 games, including 5 20-point losses. The Warriors have their core 4 back, Brendan. We know that. But Draymond Green averaging 7 points, shooting 22% from three-point range. Why is his offensive regression so pronounced right now?
Well, I think some of that is Draymond got off to a very slow start, but there's some things that he can do differently. See right here? Look how Portland is guarding him. Nurkic is in the middle of the lane, daring Draymond. Look, he is turning his back while Draymond is shooting. That makes Golden State be forced to play 4-on-5. Once again, look where Nurkic is. It's like having another defender. He is staying in the lane, cluttering it up. The whole time he is making sure that lane looks cluttered, and Draymond is helping Nurkic out. He's hanging on the perimeter, taking the shots that the defense wants you to take. But what Draymond has to do is do something different. Right here, I love it. Catches it in the mid-post. Dribble handoff to Kevin Durant. Nice little screen. Use the fact that Collins is playing so far off of him as a weapon to get Durant open. Now look at Draymond. He understands they're playing back. I'm not going to launch this three. That's exactly what they want me to do. I'm not shooting the ball right now. Play to your strength. Drive the ball to the basket. Get aggressive. When you watch those clips, the first couple of clips, Draymond is trying to prove, I'm a shooter, I'm a shooter. He's never been a shooter. He's a ball player. He's a gamer. When you watch those last 2 clips, he's being effective even though he's not shooting the ball well. Draymond is letting the offense dictate too much of who he is and how he affects and how he helps this ball club. Draymond's offense is a luxury, and he has to understand that, yeah, there's going to be a lot of noise out there, people on Twitter, people on sports talk shows talking trash because Draymond is brash, and a lot of people love seeing him not hitting his shots right now. He has to block all that out and go out there and do the things that can help this team win. And when you're a guy that's a non-shooter, like I was, Griff. I'm laughing, but I can tell you as a non-shooter, there's ways that you can get guys open and you can help your team without shooting the basketball. If you catch the ball at the three-point line and take 2 dribbles in close to the free throw line and do a dribble handoff, you now essentially create a layup for somebody like Kevin Durant. Or if you're Draymond Green and you realize Nurkic is way over there in the paint, just run and set a pin down for Klay, because guess what? Klay will come off. He'll be wide open. Nurkic will have to respond, and either Klay's going to get a wide open shot, or when you roll to the basket, you'll be able to get a dunk. I got a lot of open shots in my career setting screens for guys like Dirk Nowitzki, setting screens for Gilbert Arenas, Jason Terry, because if you set a flare screen off the ball and the defense has to respond to it and then you slip to the basket, you create a problem. But if I stayed out 15, 16, 17 feet where defenses knew I couldn't shoot, or if Draymond stays out there behind the three-point line shooting 22% and trying to prove to these teams that he's a shooter, he's not helping the Golden State Warriors. Draymond has to understand that.
Well, and it's a chicken or the egg situation, too, because while Draymond is struggling and defenses are sagging off of him, it's giving them more opportunity to help on anything that they may run for Klay Thompson. And Klay is struggling mightily himself. He's shooting 30% from 3 over the last 5 games and not getting shots either. When you're getting 10 to 15 threes a game, that's one thing. When you're 1 of 5 over 5 games, that's a problem for Klay Thompson. And that's margin for error for the Warriors. And it was fine when Draymond wasn't scoring, when you had Klay, Steph, and KD going crazy. But in the absence of Damian Jones, who was creating that dive effect, that vertical spacing that made everybody react to the roller, everything's a little more difficult now, and you can see how important that was. I think the absence of Damian Jones has set some of this in motion, and it really does highlight how important JaVale McGee was for that group last year as well.
I guess when you're the Warriors and so many things not clicking at the right time, we have to discuss them more. But coming up a little bit later, we'll talk about the Blazers because things are going very well for them right now, 5-2 in their last 7 games. Got some love from Katie. Look at this. She's just cleaning up. Steph hooking her up.
Who is that little girl? She got to know somebody, man. That's just not a random fan.
That's one of the only Warrior fans in Portland right now, apparently. She's getting all of the attention because she's sort of solo.
That's a good look for her. I think that's the key. If you're a fan, go on the road, right? Support the team that's coming in, and maybe you'll get the hookup. Here's the projected starting lineups for this one. Kevon Looney getting a nod at center. Yusuf Nurkic, I think that's a matchup to watch. Where else do you see Griff?
Yeah, I think for me personally, when I look at this, I think KD Mo Harkless is going to be a really big matchup. You'll see Aminu take shots on KD as well, but Mo's going to have to do his best to limit KD because Clay and Draymond, as we've talked about, they're struggling.
I want to see these two guards go at it. I want to see C.J. McCollum versus Klay Thompson. I want to see what goes on there, how that dynamic goes. How's Clay doing defensively? Does Clay find his shot? And you know, C.J., he gets into it, gets into his package. He can make you look really bad. So I want to see what's going to go down with that.
For the Warriors, coming back after that overtime loss on Thursday night, as we look at the warm-ups, we look at them coming to the arena, they seem dialed in. Not that they're, you know, never not dialed in, but they seem like they're ready for this one and they're ready to go.
Well, when Steve Kerr was talking about the fact that they're the most scrutinized team in the history of the league in his mind, what he's telling you is it's become heavy to wear the crown in Golden State. They are weighing down under the pressure of excellence being the expectation every night, and spiritually they are not in a terribly good place. So what you do when that happens is you either continue to let it snowball or you decide to take matters into your own hands and rise up and play a game where you bring all of the energy and effort and let the cards fall where they may. And I think that may be where Golden State is tonight.
Definitely this team is scrutinized, a lot of pressure, and it's because things slowly start to happen and change differently in our culture. The more and more and more you start to win, the more haters and the more scrutiny you get. See, at first it was, man, Golden State, and it was a very cute story. And then they started winning more, and then they added Kevin Durant, and a lot of people thought that wasn't fair. And now everybody wants to see this team lose. They went from being the darlings to now being the big bad guys, the villains. And with that comes that scrutiny because now people are throwing shots at KD and Draymond and Clay, and the team right now doesn't look like they have responded. You're seeing KD make some comments. I don't think they're the worst comments in the world, but it seems like, hey, he's tired of people saying certain things. Clay's tired of people questioning his shot. Draymond's trying to figure it all out himself, too. So this team right now is going in a bunch of different directions. But guess what? They're still going to be there at the end of the year. All the haters can keep hating. They're still going to win it.
And Damian Lillard hit some big shots in that overtime win on Thursday night. But how about the Community Assist Award? Getting that before the game. And, of course, Portland Trailblazers getting the community into this one before they face the Warriors.
I'm just glad.
As you just saw, the Washington Wizards beat the Charlotte Hornets without the services of John Wall. He is out the rest of the season. The Wizards announced that during the game. He'll have left heel surgery, expected to miss 6 to 8 months. Wall averaging 21 points, 9 assists a game, just under those numbers actually. Played 32 games this season after playing just 41 games last season. Chris Miles, David Griffin, Brendan Hayward here with you. Griff, if you're the Wizards, and now you're looking forward, you have yourself a situation considering Wall's season has been cut short the last 2 years in a row.
Well, I mean, in the NBA, and Brendan, you know this very well, adversity is a given. It's an absolute lock. You will face it. And the decisions you make and the way you choose to deal with it is optional. And what I think you saw Washington do tonight is rise up in the face of great adversity and let this injury spate that they've had. Several players, you heard them talk about it earlier, John Wall, Markieff Morris, Dwight Howard, Otto Porter, all out. And they still decided that they cared enough to rise up and compete. And that's what you have to do. And there's a very decent likelihood that this injury to John Wall galvanizes this group, and we'll see the best basketball they've played if they can get a healthy Otto Porter and a healthy Markieff Morris. And I think that's what they're counting on right now.
I'm looking at this team, looking at the stats.
Oh, boy.
Color him skeptical is what this means.
No. 35 assists tonight. 35 assists.
Are we getting back to the everybody eats thing? Is that where you're going with this, Brendan?
I didn't say that. somewhere out there, maybe in L.A., maybe Marcin Gortat wants to tweet that tonight. I didn't say that. I see 35 assists. 9 from Ariza, 7 from Green, 3 from Bryant, 5 from Beal. 24 points for Ariza, 13 for Green, 21 for Bryant, 19 for Beal, 20 for Satoransky. You're seeing the ball move around and not just be in one guy's hands. And I'm not saying that this team is better without John Wall. I don't believe that. But I've always believed that John could learn something when he was out from watching how the team moves the ball when he's not there. And I think this team is going, like you said, is going to use this as a rallying cry, a rallying point that, hey, we can do this. And right now there's no pressure. See, when John's there, there's the pressure of we have to win, we have to win.
And they're not enjoying the process of playing together.
If this team comes back and makes a playoff run in the Eastern Conference, and the bottom of the East can be had, like you can go on you don't have to be a great team to sneak into the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. It would not surprise me at all if this Washington Wizards team put it together, especially as they got healthier and they start getting some more bodies. I'm going to be very interested to see how this turns out.
And you said put it together, though. We need a stamp on that. Put it together and
make the playoffs. I'm not expecting anything more than that. I think when you look at the way the season started, the turmoil with injury, if this team makes it to the playoffs, that would be somewhat of a mini success. Now, you still have some questions about the future, and especially if the team makes it to the playoffs after being 10 games under 500, the Wizards really, it's a blessing and a curse because now management is like, okay, so this team is really playing well without John. What do we do? And no one is taking that contract, especially coming off an injury.
Well, it's fascinating because their margin for error is much less now. And with all of these injuries, I said before, I think it could get worse before it gets better. Tonight's a big win. You're not always going to rally quite like that down that many bodies. But Thomas Bryant tonight, you mentioned the 35 assists. I don't know the actual number of screen assists Thomas Bryant had, but Thomas Bryant is playing the role Marcin Gortat played, which was to be an elite screener, to be physical and to be a presence. They're going to be able to get the best of these guys because emotionally now they're in a different place. You said it, there's no pressure. They no longer have to have that feel of, gosh, this doesn't quite feel right. This is heavy. This gives you spiritual rebirth, and in the Eastern Conference, you've got the room for that.
And there are guys that aren't in the starting lineup right now that are getting the opportunity to play. Let's talk about their first-round draft pick, Troy Brown, who spent time in the G League, who hasn't been able to crack significant minutes in the NBA. He gets 18 minutes, scores 9 points, and really contributes. This allows the opportunity for guys like that to get in and play.
Yeah, and frankly, in the previous game, Troy Brown not playing any minutes at all was staggering. The way that they were playing the rotations with Decker and Randall and Baker and not giving Troy Brown an opportunity was shocking in and of itself. But now this really does put an onus on the organization that if they're going to be in this situation, it's all hands on deck. And in a worst-case scenario, let's develop Troy and see what we have at the end. And also, to your point about the deal not being movable, the one thing you know for sure, if Otto Porter comes back healthy, he's much closer to earning the money he gets paid currently when he gets to be ball dominant and make plays for other people. So you may find hidden value here because of this injury.
I totally agree. Otto Porter really has a chance to shine when he comes back. We saw last year he was a little bit better when John wasn't there just because he got the ball. He got a chance to do some more things. And the more you touch the ball, the more shot attempts you get, the more confidence you get. And some guys are better when they have that confidence. Some guys, they can just check in the game and chuck up a couple of threes and feel fine. A lot of players aren't like that. They're rhythm guys. Otto needs to get into a rhythm. Without John, it seems like he gets into that.
Were you a rhythm guy, Chris? Were you a chuck it up?
When you in Harlem, what type of basketball player were you? When you on the streets of Harlem, son?
No, let's be real.
Your son.
Okay, I was not very good. I could handle and I could pass. So what I did to make teams, I would become friends with people like you, Brendan.
Okay.
I'm just going to find the big fella, and he's going to score. And then when I would roll around, it's all the big fellas, and I'm the little guy.
Offset, I love his tales of basketball from his days in Harlem. The mean streets of Harlem.
Shout out to Kyle Cuffey. That was my big fella that I used to roll with. You know, he's not quite 7 feet like you, but
I think that
got
means
some
he was
buckets.
a heartless gunner. That's what I heard.
Possibly.